Constantly shifting through the time-space continuum, Metron's three disciples observe the universe from the Mobius couch.
People are people, so why should it be? Won't you sit on the Mobius couch with me? Hey everyone, my name's Patrick, and I'm one of the hosts of the Mobius Couch podcast.
Who else is with you, Patrick?
Oh yeah, I'm all right. As always, I'm joined by Alessandro, also known as Al or Ali.
Hey, everybody.
How's it going, Al? We're also joined by Joe.
Hey, Patty.
Hey
Hey,
Joe.
Al. I was gonna say, I think it's amusing every single time that Patrick introduces you. He always lists like several aliases when he just says, and then he just goes, "And Joe."
I don't know if that
Joe's here.
means you need more aliases or I have too many. I'm not sure.
I think it's take it how you want to take it. I'm just saying, I think it's amusing. It's either a problem or it's not, but it's still funny either way.
Well, that's certainly.
What are we talking about, boys?
Well, one thing I do want to talk about is to explain to our new listeners that yes, this is a podcast with three hosts who talk about comics, and it's not called 3-Page Spread or 3-Page Splash.
No, it's not, because that would
even
be a
though those
foolish
names
name.
were available, those internet domains were available, and that name was available. We just chose not to use those better names.
That is true.
Instead, branded as the Mobius Couch. I just thought I'd bring that up for new listeners who might not know that.
They should also know that we employed ranked choice voting to determine that the Mobius couch name for this podcast.
That's true.
There were several contenders that were available that were, I think, were better.
We did use a pretty progressive, forward-looking voting system. Ranked choices.
I thought so too. I thought we did a good job narrowing down our name choices into what we now have. Al.
All of that is fair, but I think it's time now for us to strap into the Mobius couch.
Let's do it.
There's seatbelts on this thing?
Yes. In this interdimensional time-space vehicle that allows us to view the entire universe of comics.
It would be almost dangerous for there not to be seatbelts, right?
Well, but I
mean, how fast is he traveling through space? Is it instant? Or is he like cutting to one of those Star Wars type tubes?
Wouldn't the Mobius couch be so technologically advanced it would have a bubble of whatever atmosphere that wouldn't even need a seatbelt?
Yes.
I mean, I guess, but what if you just fell off?
Which, yeah, he does kind of just get thrown, like, there's
yeah,
one.
He's been thrown off the chair before.
They're just push him off the chair.
I think he goes off the level of like, oh my God, no one's gonna fuck with me, right? And then every once in a while that's not true, and it happens, and he falls out of the chair. It's a little ridiculous, but get a seatbelt on there.
What are we talking about today on the Mobius?
I'll tell you what we're talking about today. We're talking about Wonder Woman, and not just any Wonder Woman. We're talking about the New 52 Wonder Woman, which I guess the New 52 as a whole was rather despised by a lot of fans. I didn't mind it all that much, but I mean, and I'm a hardcore DC fan, so that's pretty crazy. But anyway, Wonder Woman, New 52. We're covering the first 12 issues, first two story arcs.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of it as a whole before? Well, should I summarize it first?
Well, yeah. I mean, so New 52 was after Final Crisis, right? Was that reboot du jour after Final Crisis, or when did that happen? Flashpoint? Was it after Flashpoint?
Flashpoint. It was
Flashpoint. That's right. I was like, Final Crisis. That doesn't seem right. So Flashpoint happens, then the New 52 starts, and then there's, I don't know, how long did New 52 last? 5-6 years?
Yeah, so I just looked it up, and New 52 started August 31st of 2011. It ended May 25th of 2016. So it was around for about 5 years.
Yep. And we're talking about the Wonder Woman run, written by, Brian Azzarello and art by Cliff Chiang. Cliff and Brian. We're just going to be calling them.
Is
Cliff
it Chiang? We don't know. Cliff. Artist Tony Atkins.
Tony
was, he subbed in. Cliff didn't do every issue. Let's put it that way. There's a regular sub-in artist. The key is New 52 was much maligned from comic fans because they were like, "You're throwing all of our history into the garbage." and that's
Freshest
it. And we're
history.
starting fresh. Like, that's really weird. At the same time, DC has some balls for doing that, because like Marvel would have just been like, they're the ultimate characters, and then slowly folded them in and just like figured out what works from both worlds, and then just made, oh, there's 2 Spider-Mans now. Like, instead of just going like, hey, why don't we just fuck with everything?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. They're also dealing with 100 years of stupid character history that they
Well,
can
also
just not worry
DC
about.
did it before with Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's kind of like where all this bullshit started, unfortunately.
They reset every 2 years because they don't know what they're doing. Anyway, let's talk about Wonder Woman. We're here to talk about
Clearly not. New 52 lesser for 5 years. Patty just confirmed that.
So yeah, like Joe said, the New 52 widely criticized as being pretty terrible by most fans, but it's my understanding the Wonder Woman New 52, this run was kind of like considered one of the like diamonds
It's
in the
really good.
Yeah, well, so a quick do we just want to give our overall impressions of?
Oh, sure, yeah, we can do overall impressions first. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I'm a big mythology buff, and this Azarella's whole run really leans into her mythological origins and brings in Greek gods and everything. So I ate this up. I was like a
I was
pig
actually
in
going to
frog.
ask if I require you to pepper us with all kinds of knowledge throughout our discussion tonight.
Zeus was the king of the Olympians. I don't know if
What?
you knew, but little tidbits like that.
I mean, is he cut though? Is he like ripped?
Well, not in this.
I mean, like from stone? Like, is he like cut from marble?
No, he is unfortunately.
Where is Zeus on the rankings of all Snyder's?
Well, I mean, I was going to wait for that to come up naturally, but the Zeus Cliff. All right,
you literally just brought him up. That is my first. That is natural.
All right, but Cliff's Zeus doesn't even register on the Justice League Zeus scale. I mean, he's
kind of like Hawkeye, isn't he? He's like a pudgy and
he's a sort of a flat, formless, bearded man.
That's kind of Cliff's style, though. You know,
he is not chiseled from marble like Justice League Zeus.
Patty, what was your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I loved it. Same page as Alessandro I love that they leaned more into her mythological origins and dealing with the Greek pantheon. It's more kind of magical. I always kind of felt like back in the day, Wonder Woman was basically just like the female version of Superman, and she didn't really add anything to the Trinity. And I think really emphasizing that she's just like a magical being, like Superman's weak to magic, Wonder Woman is magical, like putting them more in equal playing field. Like, I'm really glad that DC's taking her character and going more in that direction. And also the art, like the character designs specifically of the gods are all fantastic because they really deep dive and try to like make them all very unique and novel based on their different domains. And it's very, and the story is, you know, the pacing's great. It's a page turner. And we're only doing the first 12 issues, but I read all 35 issues over the last 7. I enjoyed it.
I mean, so obviously I like this run overall. Not just the fact that she dealt with the gods, because they've done that before. I mean, Ares is a rather large villain of Wonder Woman's, but like they used him in a very interesting way in this and made him a skinny old man in a suit with blood all over his pants, which I thought was amazing. Like, so that goes to the design. So it's not just that they're bringing in the magic and they're talking about the gods more, and she actually is one of them, which is a spin on her origin story, but it's also like just this interesting take on all of those that were there before that's changed it all for me. Like, so I was like, this is fresh and interesting, and I love it. So unlike most New 52 stuff where I was like, why are we restarting this? What do you mean Wally West isn't the Flash? And I was annoyed. This one, I was just like, hell yeah, this is fantastic.
The new idea they kind of spun to retcon her origin is that, like Joe said, her being made of clay was a lie. Turns out she's actually the daughter of Zeus. So Zeus and Hippolyta had a little bit of a tryst back in the day.
I have a question about that because I know you're more comic scholars than I am. I was always under the impression that was her origin. Is that not? Did that start here?
No, that's
like,
really
always
recent. Yeah, that started right here. Yeah.
Yeah, never mind. For some reason, I always had in my mind that like she was a demigod.
I think it's because in the Justice League animated show from the early 2000s, it's implied that Hades is her dad, or not Hades.
Zeus.
No, Hades. Yeah.
Oh, Hades. Yeah.
Hades is her dad in that TV show.
Maybe that's where maybe it must be that then.
So a big part of it is though after she finds out that she's the daughter of Zeus, so Zeus is well known even in mythology of being kind of just like a philanderer. He's just a horny
Mhm.
ass old man.
Well, first of all, those are all allegations.
Where's the blood test? That's all I have
Yeah,
to
I
say.
mean, nothing's ever
Also,
been proven. I don't. I mean, these are all
I mean,
allegations and rumors. They're
Zeus
frankly
is canceled. Zeus is canceled. I'll get over it. He's a womanizing piece of shit. Also, I love how they think of it as like philandering, but if you think about it, it's like a millennia before he does it again. So it's like, I mean,
Oh, so that makes
a
it
thousand
okay.
years.
Thanks.
It's
Okay.
1,000 years before he cares
Uh-huh.
about humans again.
But I thought it was just interesting. So part of her story is that she starts meeting all of Zeus's other offspring, and it's kind of a clever idea to introduce a whole nother subset of powered people in the DC
Yeah,
universe.
I thought it was really cool. Yeah.
You know, the typical metahuman from radiation or whatever experiments. So they
Right.
kind of have this like demigod pantheon that's already living on Earth, which I thought was pretty cool.
So the first arc is really, just to summarize it real fast, is basically she finds out she's not who she thought she was, and that there's another child she needs to protect. So they found out like Zeus has like a current mistress, I suppose, and she's pregnant. So it's all about Wonder Woman protecting this woman.
Yeah, that's the
And
whole
then
one
the
was kind of
second arc
triggered.
is about her trying to rescue her because at the end of this one she gets taken away. But weaving all the subplots with all the gods and the various like machinations that they're playing, the game quote unquote that they play with each other is what really takes up each issue individually, and it's really awesome. The dialogue's a little overly clever for me.
I was gonna say I do love the story and the plot and the
Yeah.
character development, but there was certain dialogue where I would have to reread the dialogue bubble like 5 or 6
Yeah,
times. It
it's
was
overly clever. And everyone does it though. It's not just like one character does it a lot or something. It's like every single character takes a word that somebody else just said and like spins it into a new phrase and or response without like saying that word again.
but then
I'll
also I
find
feel like
I'll find a specific example, but like he does it like every page basically. Like there's almost every page has like this weird way of speaking to each other, and I'm like, I mean, it'd be one thing if like one specific character was doing that constantly. I'd be like, oh, okay, that's kind of like how they talk, and it's clever, and I like it. But it's like every character talks like that. It gets a little strange.
well, I guess for me it was confusing because someone would say something and then someone else would respond to that, but the response wouldn't make any sense to me at all. And I almost felt like I missed a panel somewhere. It was sometimes the dialogue was just a little bit hard to follow. The story in general was great, but yeah, sometimes I was like, what the fuck is he trying to say right now?
I will say the first issue kicks off with Wonder Woman being a fucking badass. So like, there's little things like that where it's just like, God damn, okay,
Well, the
this is
whole
awesome shit.
So I haven't really read a lot of Wonder Woman comics in general. Well, actually, this is pretty much the only Wonder Woman comic run I've ever read. So I don't know if she's normally like this. Um, but
She
yeah, I
doesn't
just
normally whip swords through the air, chopping off the arm of a scimitar as it runs away from her to kill somebody. That's not normal. So when she's chopping people's arms off and like tackling and ripping them apart and stuff, like you're like, holy shit, okay.
yeah, I just
That's
thought
where we're
she
going with it.
was a stone cold badass in this, and like she
Yeah.
just goes straight fist to face, doesn't take shit from anybody, and is just here to party and kick ass like 0 to 100 every time. And I loved it. I just thought it was awesome.
Yeah, another cool thing they did with her power set was that her braces that she uses to deflect bullets with, so
Mhm.
they're actually kind of a power dampener.
Yeah.
So way stronger, and those keep her power in check. And if she takes them off, she kind of goes like Super Saiyan, but I guess she kind of loses her, rational mind.
Humanity. Yeah.
Yeah,
Also, her
that was great. Because she first does it to fight, I think, Artemis, and she does sort of a Goku Rock Lee like weighted clothing thing where she just takes them off and just powers up, and it's pretty badass.
and she destroys
It
Art.
is pretty Dragon Ball Z, isn't it?
Yeah, so obviously I'm a huge anime fan, so I love that. Also love that Hephaestus like did an improvement to him and she can just shoot swords out of them now at will. I thought that was amazing. Maybe that's in a later run, but
Yeah, that's I think that's later, yeah. I do, although speaking of character design and like Hephaestus and stuff, so that was another big reveal, as well as her not being made from clay, that the Amazons go out into the world and basically rape a bunch of men. But I mean, they're willing, but they don't know they're about to get murdered. And then they murder them all. And then when they have babies back on Paradise Island, if it's a boy, they throw it into the water, or unless Hephaestus comes and goes, hey, I'll give you weapons for all these kids that you don't want, is kind of a weirdly fucked up reveal that we've never gotten before.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy shit, that went dark.
They also, I mean, so Brian goes way out of his way to express that those people are happy to be alive and grateful to Hephaestus. Seems
Yeah,
a
he
little
does.
Stockholm syndrome to me.
Yeah, it does for sure. Yeah.
I guess we're
But
gonna
like,
be
we're
okay.
artists. We're happy here. And like, and I'm like, are you?
They all want to live in a forge dungeon and wearing robot suits. They just want
Yeah,
to be
when they were, so that was kind of another joke, or not, well, joke, but it was like a reveal. Like they were walking around in these big clunky, like almost old timey underwater diving suits with glowing red eyeballs and stuff. And two of them get burned or something, and he's like, we'll put their bodies in the forge, they'll feed the forge. And like all the other men are like, oh, that sounds good, yeah, right up, that's what we'd always do, like that's how we bury our dead. And Wonder Woman's like, hold on a second, there's people inside of there. Like, what the fuck? I thought those were robots. And then he's just like, these are your brothers. There's no easy way to put this. Not all the Amazons have girls.
Well, I thought that was kind of cool because in actual Greek mythology, he has little robot helpers because his mother threw him off Mount Olympus because he was ugly, and so he's a cripple, and he built robots for himself to carry him around. So it's kind of a neat little homage to mythology that he has little robot helpers, even though they're not robots, they're Amazon castaways. What do we want to call them? Manmazons?
Well, they're not Amazonian because they don't come from Amazon.
They're Amazons.
Well, actually, Patrick.
So wait, back up a second. So in ancient Greek mythology, the concept of robots existed?
Well, but yeah, I mean, they're not like
They're
computerized,
automatons.
but they're automaton metal beings. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So like metal golems. But
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there were also, I
that's
don't know
more
if you,
accurate.
there was also Jason and the Argonauts fought Talos too, who was a giant robot.
Jesus, I was not paying attention, I guess, then.
Yeah, but it's like a clockwork robot. It's not like
Yeah, and
had
Talos
thought
ran
of-
on oil too, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, he ran on like oil. So that's pretty forward thinking for mythology.
Let's talk about real quick. Let's talk about who else is here, which is Hermes, and that's kind of important. He's there the whole time, the little Birdman messenger man.
So Hermes he's pretty much one of the main characters of the arc. But so going back to my point where it's hard to follow the story, like the second page, you cut from first of all, the visual of how Hera creates the centaurs is awesome. She cuts the horses from the huge around the neck. So but you go from that page, and then you flip to the next page, and Hermes is already inside of Zola's house. Zola's the pregnant woman with Zeus's baby. Mm-hmm. There's no really like, how did he get there? Did they just like, there was no, I don't know. I was like, did I miss a page?
That's true. It does dive immediately into that.
It's standard epic poetry, dude. In medias res, you begin in the middle of the action. This is just standard classical.
Also, as we see later on, Hermes is like popping in whenever he wants with that staff. So it's really not that weird that they just show him walking in the door. Like,
I guess it's weird.
In retrospect, it's not, at least.
It's not. I guess it wouldn't be weird to me if it started with Zola just sitting in her house and then a panel of him appearing and then her freaking out. But it starts with Hermes looking out of her window. Then he turns to talk to her as if they know each other.
As if he'd been there for a while. And then she's like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, I'm like, where are we? How do we get here? But anyways.
So Zola's kind of the, I don't know, crux of the story in terms of like, she's pregnant with Zeus's child, so Hera's coming to murder her, and that's what starts the whole thing.
She's the MacGuffin.
Wonder Woman, I know this is ridiculous, but her just like going like, I don't give a fuck that you're here, and she just strips naked and starts putting on her armor, and Zola's like, oh shit, you're Wonder Woman. Like, she had no idea whose house she was in because she just got teleported there. It was fucking awesome. And then immediately Wonder Woman's like, let's go back. Like it wasn't like, what's the problem? Where can I help you? Or how can I help you? It's just like, hey, let's go back to your farm, kick some ass, let's go. Like she just puts her on her armor and just immediately goes back and starts fighting with centaurs.
Yeah, she's just there
And
to kick
kicks
ass.
the shit out of them. They're immediately concerned with Hermes though, and they kind of become like a little trio keeping care of Wonder Woman as the story progresses.
Yeah, and then as the arc goes, that kind of the team grows. Like they get another son of Zeus, Lennox, who's like a half demigod.
I think Lennox was
Orion.
almost thrown in there as like a do you trust him, do you not trust him thing, just to kind of like further shock you when Hermes is like, just kidding, took your baby at the very end. you know
They also get, I mean, they get Orion too later on. They get lots of little.
Just want to back up real quick. Wanted to say I love Hera's peacock cloak.
That is pretty awesome, actually.
Going back in general to the point we've already made about how the gods are displayed, I think all of them are really cool because it could have been very lazy of like they're all just people in togas with like a different hat.
There seems like there's actual thought put into each like character design, but also the design emphasizes like what their powers are or like what realm.
Yeah, it's they go very into like the iconography of the Greek deity. And so Hera's, I guess, going out outfit is just naked with a peacock cloak, which is kind of, I mean, Hera was like, she's like the queen, female figure of Olympus. So just to show off like her body and femininity, but then with the peacock cloak, because the peacock is her.
Yeah, it's funny when she gets home, she takes off the peacock cloak where she's naked and then puts clothes on.
Yeah.
Like it's like the reverse of everybody else.
Well, because it's like in the real world.
All right, I'm going out. Time to be a awesomely naked woman with a peacock dress on.
Yeah, I mean, she's representing the brand out in the world, so she's got to be her.
And Hermes, considering that his entire plan was to eventually betray them, like he's playing a really long con here. And
well, he's the
part of it involved him getting almost dead, so that's pretty shocking.
Well, Hermes is the trickster god. He's gotta, if he ain't tricking, he ain't. What rhymes the tricking?
So they take Zola, Wonder Woman, and Hermes to Paradise Island, and that kind of kicks off the whole like she finds out she's not born from clay, or the overview of it is basically, hey, you're not actually made from clay. You're the daughter of Zeus, and then also the other Amazons really like resent her in terms of like, you just came here with all your problems, fucked us all up, and then you kind of dipped off again.
Well, I love that intro of how Strife shows up and by just being there stirs shit up, and like people Amazons start killing each other and getting like angry, and it's because she's just, hey, I'm here. That's all it takes.
I loved her character because she just made no sense to me. Her actions and motivations like made no sense. Like I couldn't follow what she was going to do next. I'm like, I mean, I guess I don't know too much.
Her character is literally to stir shit up. Like I feel like she just literally went to Paradise Island and was like, "Hey, guess what? You're not clay."
Well, I guess that's
Zeus. Peace out.
Her only motivation is to stir the pot, get people riled. That's it.
And she accomplishes that. And Wonder Woman admittedly herself takes this, or tries to apologize about this later, but she takes the news rather badly. And instead of saying like, why the fuck did you lie to me my whole life, Mom? She just kind of goes, you lied to me my whole life, Mom. Fuck you. And kind of like, that kind of starts the storming off thing. But in the meantime, Hera does try, I mean, not Hera, whoopsie. Hippolyta does try to at least justify like why and what happened. And I guess Zeus would just like randomly come down and they would fight over however many centuries or whatever. Or was it a briefer period of time? It felt like it was really long.
Yeah, but they just fight and then they'd have sex.
I think it was just they were just fighting, but eventually they were like, hey, let's fuck now.
I like to think of it as just that was the pattern. Like they'd fight and then have sex. That was just their...
Yeah, maybe. I thought it was like, it was building up to like, oh, I respect you now, even though you're only an Amazon. Because you like fought me to a standstill X amount of times or whatever. But maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, Wonder Woman's kind of says like, fuck off, and her and Zola and Strife for some reason tags along, and Hermes fuck off at that point.
I do want to go back to Hera for a second because
Sure.
what a B when Hippolyta was like, I've worshipped you for all these years, forgive me, all that, and then turns them all into snakes and her into clay. Little
Yeah,
catty, little catty.
she's awful. But again, so I read the entire run, and I really loved Hera's entire arc for the entire run because she, at the end of this arc, Apollo takes away her immortality and makes her mortal.
Yeah.
And she goes through this whole process of how, and it's done really well. I don't have the dialogue in front of me, but saying how being immortal, it's kind of like she had a different, just her brain was just fundamentally different. And being mortal, she like learned empathy and all these other like good emotions. But then at the very end, she becomes immortal again. She gets her godhood back. And it's like that empathy is gone. And she's kind of sad about it. She's like, she knows it's missing and she knows what it used to feel like, but she can't feel it anymore. And she like struggles with. So you kind of understand her more at this point because she just does not give a fuck that Hippolyta has worshipped her for.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't.
But you see that with all the gods. I mean, again, they're all
I
pretty
see it as
central
mercy
characters.
though a little bit though. She didn't like she doesn't kill them. She transforms them or whatever. Like she could have chopped her head off. Like she
Okay.
does raise the axe up and then go, fine. Like there's something in her.
I mean, if turning someone into clay instead of killing them is mercy, Joe, I don't. I mean, I don't
Is
know.
it clay or stone? I don't know.
I think it's clay because I think it's supposed to be like a metaphor about how Hippolyta lied about Diana being made from clay.
But I like. I mean, but in general, pretty much all the gods, I think, because they're pretty much all central characters. But I think they're all portrayed that way pretty well in that sense of they don't seem human. They don't like Patrick mentioned, not much empathy. Even though they
Not at
are
all.
siblings, they're all married to each other or brothers or cousins or whatever. Don't act
Yeah.
very familial with each other.
That made me laugh actually. There's a scene where Wonder Woman and Zola are walking down like the bridge. They're about to talk to Poseidon or whatever, and like they're discussing like, oh hey, you're my aunt. And then Zola's like, not until he's born. Oh, I guess he's a boy. And then he's like, yeah, he'll be my brother. And then I'm like, brother, aunt? That doesn't make any sense. He'd be your cousin if she was your aunt, which she's not. She's just some woman that your dad fucked. It doesn't make her. She's your stepmom, if anything. Where does aunt come in? And then I was like,
I guess they're just confused because everybody's related to each other.
I was just like, none of that. First of all, half brother, not brother. And second of all, aunt. That makes no sense at all.
I just want to say, after Wonder Woman learned she was lied to all her life, she goes to like this hole in the
That
wall
sweet club.
She puts on a cool leather jacket.
So it is silly because she's like in a punk rocker outfit dancing by herself, whatever. But Strife shows up and messes with Zola's baby or tries to like grab her stomach. And Wonder Woman just grabs her hand, picks up a shattered champagne flute, and just stabs it through Strife's hand into the bar. Insane.
But that's what I love about this Wonder Woman is just takes zero shit. I mean,
Yeah.
she's on you and fighting right away. If anything, I mean, I just thought that was fun.
So they do try something. So there's a problem, and I guess we haven't kind of mentioned it, but some of the other gods are become aware that Zeus isn't around. But they find out that it's just Hera up there, and she's alone. So basically, meaning like, oh shit, that means Poseidon and Hades are going to be like, either vying for the throne or fighting over it, or I guess you can't just have a woman. That's not right.
No, that's madness.
I also did kind of like, random side note, how the gods would have like, they had kind of nicknames for each other. Like Hermes was Messenger and Artemis was Moon and Hades called him Hell. And what do they call Poseidon? Just like Sea.
Those aren't really nicknames. Those are what they are. Like those are their realms.
Yeah, but I guess I've just never read any.
Yeah, but it's not like he's not referred to as sea or ocean as his name, like.
And they
Well,
just
yeah, but he is that. I mean, but like he represents.
No, we understand. I think we both understand where it's coming from, Al. I think it's just interesting that they're using the name as a name.
I just thought it was fun. It shows like familiarity because they're also the Roman god. I mean, they're the Greek gods, but they go by many names. So they're just
Yeah,
like,
like Hades is talking to Lennox, and he's like, "You can just call me Hell if that's easier. I know it's easier for you, kind of thing." And I was
Yeah.
like, "That's fucked up."
I did like that Hades was a creepy little boy with a candlestick. head.
Again, the designs of the gods are fantastic, but also that one is. I mean, that's up there with like the mouth of Sauron. I was like, "Oh, that's creepy," like kind of thing. Like when you saw that shit in the movies, you're just like, "Oh fuck, that's
Also, that he's
gross."
using Kronos like as a throne is pretty badass.
yeah, by far my favorite character design out of all the gods. He's a little boy, and he's got like he's got like 6 candles that are
Yeah,
burning.
the wax whip melting down his face, and the constant glow of flame above his head. It's just, and the black and red armor underneath, like on the lower half of his body. So just like contrasts with the weird white candles dripping down his face. All kind of fucked up. He also never stands like just like, "Hi, I'm here." He just like has his arms in a weird position because he's wearing armor, and it's just like he always looks extra creepy. It's just, maybe it was just the artist and the way he was drawing his arms falling, and it wasn't natural looking, or maybe it was purposeful, maybe it wasn't. I guess what I'm trying to say. But
He's also always barefoot, which
extra
I find
creepy.
adorable.
Yes.
I don't know why, but it's adorable. that he's
Also
always
weird. The centaurs come back on the bridge scene with Poseidon, and the one that Wonder Woman chopped the arm off of has a mace arm now, which I thought was awesome. Just little details like that. Like we hadn't seen them since they zipped away from the farm, and they show up on the bridge, and she's like, "Yeah, I got a mace arm now."
Those
So weird.
centaurs, rough life.
Yeah,
I mean, 5 minutes into being alive, you get your arm ripped off.
and then immediately murdered by Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
At
and then
least the white one was.
So and then the next kind of, I mean, we don't have to go into all the details, but long story short, Hades kidnaps Zola. So there's the next kind
Well,
of.
let's discuss what was the actual plan though. Like
The first arc is, well, like the whole reason that Hippolyta lied about Diana being made of clay is because Hera is so jealous over Zeus's infidelities that she just straight up murders any of his bastard children. So
yep.
that's why I lied about Wonder Woman, so she could grow strong enough so that Hera couldn't just easily kill her. So same situation now. So Zola's baby, Hera is trying to kill it. And so Hades and Poseidon are fighting over Zeus's throne. So Wonder Woman says, "Hey, Hera agreed to bang both of y'all, and Hades, you get to rule Mount Olympus during the night, and Poseidon, you get to rule it during the day." And Hera sees this going on. So Hera, I guess, has like a pool where she can see everything in the world. And I guess that's how
it's the magic mirror from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, so that's how she's tracking where they are and where the baby is. So they need to destroy that mirror. So Hera shows up, is like, "Wonder Woman, I never fucking said that. What are you fucking talking about?" And since they draw Hera out of Mount Olympus, that's when Hermes sneaks in and they set the mirror on fire. So Hera can't
And the point Al was trying to bring up was that during that whole melee, Zola sees her dead mother and walks over and is taken into hell. And that starts the second story arc, which is all about Wonder Woman preparing for and going to hell.
I will say, just going back to how aggressive Wonder Woman is when she's fighting towards on the bridge. There's that scene, Zola's hiding underneath the car, and the lights.
Oh yeah.
And the one panel is just the hooves and hand of the centaur, and the next
it's a big ass hand. It's obviously the centaur.
The next
and it's just blood.
So much blood. Like, how is it? What did Wonder Woman do?
I think she jumped on the back of the centaur, like she's gonna ride it, and then just squeezed.
Like,
it's a lot of blood.
It had to have exploded. It exploded.
Yeah, I think
she might have just jumped on it and smashed its front half in.
You probably did like a superhero landing on it and crushed it or something.
Yeah. She did something vicious that they didn't want to put on camera, so to speak. So it was off frame, and all we see is a shitload of blood. But that's kind of what I was talking about when I was like, "Holy shit, she's awesome." So this starts with Hephaestus, and we already kind of talked about him and his little Amazon boys,
the Manazons.
So Hephaestus is the one who reveals the second big reveal, and that's that not only is Wonder Woman not an Amazon or not made of clay, but like in this, that we find out where the Amazons, get more Amazons from. But we already kind of talked about it. But it's just at this point where they reveal it. They also, again, another thing that we talked about already, but her and Lennox, who, again, we haven't really touched on him too much, although he's another child of Zeus, both find it abhorrent that he has a slave camp of Amazon boys. So they go to stop him, and then all the Amazon boys are like, "Hey, it's cool."
And then they just take that at face value and say, all right, let's move on. Let's let you continue to be slaves here.
I do like the clever play out. Like after he's like, "It's okay, I understand. Tomorrow you can go to hell," because he means literally, but at the same time he's like, "Fuck you, I know what I'm
Also,
doing. I
Cupid's
brainwashed the shit out of these boys. They're not gonna betray me."
got guns too, not that little bow and arrow. He's got big old, I don't know what guns those
Yeah,
are.
I kind of like that actually. Yeah.
Guns.
He's got the gold guns like Nicolas Cage from Face Off.
Wait, Nicolas Cage or John Travolta? Who was playing him at that point?
Nicolas Cage.
Was it Nicolas Cage with John Travolta's face, or was it John Travolta with Nicolas Cage's face?
It was Nicolas Cage with Nicolas Cage's face.
I need you to take the face off. Classic film. Classic film.
Oh man,
Oh.
that movie is so stupid. Anyway, talking about character design, Wonder Woman's design to armor up and go into hell is one of my favorite Wonder Woman costumes ever made. Good job, Cliff. That's all I gotta say there.
It is pretty badass.
It's fucking cool looking for some reason. I don't know what is it about the one-sided armor which makes no real logical sense that I find so aesthetically pleasing. I don't know.
I don't know, but it
looks
really
fucking
doesn't
hardcore.
make sense.
And then she's got her hair wrapped up in her lasso instead of on her hip and stuff, like just little cool touches that I'm like, that's fucking awesome. So one of the main things is that she doesn't want to go to hell with anybody else because she's like, if you guys come with me, you're just gonna fuck me up, and I'm not gonna be able to let loose and kick ass, and one of you is just gonna get trapped down there or something, and then I'm gonna have to go back to hell to get you out of there. So fuck off. You're not coming, Lennox, and also you're not coming, Zola.
Yeah, but so they go to hell, and hell's pretty creepy, I guess. You know, it's weird because so it's like actually built out of souls. Basically.
Yeah.
Like the souls of
Yeah.
the dead are the physical environment.
Which I thought was an
you know.
interesting twist. I also like how Hermes is like, yeah, it's always different. Or she's like, this isn't what I was expecting. And he's like, it never is because it changes constantly. But I guess that's just based on the structure of what it is. It's just made out of souls. It's not like a real physical place. So he's just kind of going like, oh, now it's a castle. Now it's London, like, or whatever he wants it to look like.
Oh, also, I'm just looking at random panels, but so Throne Daddy's tears are wine.
Oh,
I just thought that was great. They fill their wine cups from Throne Dad's tears.
I totally missed that.
That was pretty great.
an example of where I get confused the dialogue when Hermes explains to Diana that like the actual city of hell is made out of human souls, she
Mhm.
says how horrifying that is, and Hermes says it makes it sound like it's supposed to be a nice thing because he goes, imagine dying and gaining the ability to be anything for just a piece of time, knowing that your time to reinvent is your forever, not existing in the world, but being the world. Like, what? I didn't need that.
I mean, I think it might also be another example of just sort of Hermes coming at it from an immortal standpoint of really not understanding what.
And maybe that's what, I don't know. Maybe they're very meta, and that's why I didn't, because most of the dialogue that I did not understand was a god speaking. So maybe that was like a subtle thing he did throughout the entire book to make it be like they speak almost a different language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so they, I mean, to wrap this part up, another part of it is they do rescue Zola, but in doing so, Wonder Woman gets shot by Hades.
And the panel of her going to block the bullet and it going straight through her bracer and arm and into her chest is pretty awesome.
Her wedding dress is put that in the Met Gala. You know, I mean, that was an interesting wedding dress with like hands clawing up the skirt. Little molesty, but hands crawling up her skirt.
No, that's fine.
Beautiful maids of honor there too.
There's that really terrifying scene with Persephone where
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yep.
Let's
So
talk about that.
Wonder Woman has like an attendant that's helping her get ready for the wedding to Hades. And in mythology, Hades kidnaps Persephone and he marries her and she becomes his wife and queen of hell. But so this attendant's helping Wonder Woman and it turns out to be Persephone and she's clearly a broken woman. And she said, he wouldn't let me leave. And Diana flips her hands over and she's like slashed all the way from like her elbow down to her wrist on both arms. So it implies though that Hades was so terrible to Persephone that she killed herself. I mean, it doesn't imply, it directly says that.
Yeah.
Which is terrifying. He's a terrifying little boy with candles on his head.
Well, but now though he's learned to love himself, so maybe that'll help mellow him out. Because that's the big reveal is then it turns out that when he'd shot Wonder Woman, it didn't work because apparently you have to love yourself to be able to shoot Cupid's guns or Cupid's arrows.
Yeah.
Oh, I took away something way different. I thought Wonder Woman genuinely like loves all living things, and so she already was like in love with Hades, so it didn't work.
That's exactly what you're supposed to take away.
Oh, is?
No, I mean I think they're both true because so when he asks her if she loves him, she does because she loves everybody.
Mhm.
But also the gun didn't work because if you don't love yourself, they can't make someone else love you. Which is why they then have him. Remember how at the end she shoots him with
That's how she tricks him into thinking that the gun worked, but in reality it didn't. Because she truly does love everybody.
Yeah. And then at the end,
Hence
she
the noose
shoots
of
him
a
while
trick
he's looking at the mirror so that he loves himself.
I see.
I know Cliff. The interior artwork is great and everything, but his composition of like the cover art, we should talk about for 5 seconds because it's really good, and it's usually they're pretty fantastic. Like the one with I'm just looking at the one with her holding the guns and she has a skull face and she's on the boat. Really fucking good, striking artwork. Also, that design on her red corset thing, stolen, put into the movies.
I like the weird sort of like Superman Lois Lane homage cover where Wonder Woman's flying with Apollo and making out with him over the clouds. So that was kind of a cool cover. Even though it didn't really make sense, I thought it was sort of a cool cover.
How powerful is Hera compared to the other gods? Because it seems like she's way more powerful and just disinterested in everything going on. Am I off on that?
They seem Zeus and Hera seem like the Superman and Wonder Woman of the gods. Like where all the other gods have like a specific thing, like I'm the Flash or I can do this. Like they seem like the ones that are like we can do fucking everything. You know, like they seem like all powerful. Whereas, but maybe I'm getting that wrong. And now,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how specifically it works out, but they do seem to set up that the older generation of Zeus, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon are sort of stronger than the kids.
Seems like there's a lot of scenes where Hera is summoning lightning like Zeus, but I don't know if that's
Isn't
just
that just because she sits on the throne of Olympus though right now?
yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like though she's actually like summoning it like Storm or something.
Oh, you mean like when
Well,
it's like
maybe-
the storm's crazy right now, and they're like it's the fury of a scorned woman kind of thing, or is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's more just kind of around Olympus and Zeus's throne. There's just general lightning. I guess it's just the general ambiance is lightning striking stone here and there.
Again, love Demeter's character design. Kind of gross, but when they spoilers when Hermes kidnaps the baby and brings it to Demeter,
Mhm.
someone rips it. Oh, is it Lennox? Who rips it out of her stomach? She puts it inside of herself, and he like pulls it out. Gnarly.
It almost seems like because so Strife is back with Hera for a while at this point, and I think again, it just seems like she's just there to just be like, it seems like you're going to be the person that's going to stir up the most shit right now, so I want to hang out with you. Like, I don't think she's like doing anything. I think she's just kind of like, oh, that guy looks interesting. It's like you're at a party, but you only want to hang out with the person that's going to like go fucking insane and start screaming about people on eye contact. So you hang out with them all night. And then when it's not them anymore, you move on to the next person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do. I weirdly relate to that statement.
And then, right, the sort of the end of this section is so Apollo just kind of makes a power grab to take the throne, and then Hermes steals the baby.
Yeah, that's been creeping up for a while. Like Apollo has been slowly figuring out what's going on the whole time, like since issue 1, and kind of like slowly getting to the point where he's just like, I'm God.
I mean, I like Apollo's look too. I mean, as the sun god, he's basically just a sunspot. He's just like a jet black sunspot almost. That was a cool design. I know that's a podcast, it's not a visual medium, but he and his sister have the most loser, ridiculous motorcycle I've ever seen. Like it's like a car seat that straddles a bicycle seat. It's a stupid motorcycle.
Where is that? I have to find this.
I mean, I don't want to criticize Cliff too much. I do like the art in general, I guess, but like that motorcycle looks stupid. Look at that thing, Joe.
That is like what is going on there?
It's so stupid. First of all, it's a tricycle.
Yeah,
it's a
that's right.
tricycle with like a weird throne chair
Second of all,
straddling
it's
the motorcycle.
it's like one of those rickshaws.
Why would you? If
Like
you're
some,
you're two gods, why would you move around in that thing?
Someone's
Can question the motives of the gods. Like, hey mortals, check out our cool bike.
we can sit on it together.
So back to Lennox, I liked his character, but overall, pretty useless in a fight. Didn't do.
I mean, he was useful in some. He was useful when he first showed up for like 5 seconds, and I think he's literally there as like, oh, he's gonna be the one that betrays her or something like that. Why the fuck would I randomly trust this random dude that just walked up to them at a table and started saying like, I'm on your side, you can trust me? And I'm like, seems like somebody I can't trust, and eventually is going to betray me. And like, and when in terms of reading the comic, I'm just like, he's proven himself nothing but faithful, but every step of the way, and yet I still go, when's the other shoe gonna drop? That's all I was feeling like with his character the whole time.
Because he comes off as like a Guy Ritchie character from like
Yeah.
a very shady.
Maybe that's what it is. I've watched too much Snatch and Lock, Stock.
Yeah. So one thing that happens is when Zola is kidnapped in the underworld, I guess time goes faster there. So she's pretty much 9 months pregnant and gives birth to her baby. Lo and behold, Hermes kidnaps her fucking baby right away.
Yeah.
Also, again, I read the entire run. That baby gets kidnapped like 5 or 6 times. Like it's kidnapped.
I really wish you had like listed the times.
Patrick, it's a baby. What's it going? It's an easy thing to take.
But it has like 7 metahumans watching, like gods are trying to protect it, and they keep losing it.
Well, you wouldn't have much of an action story, would you, if the baby never got kidnapped?
I kind of just felt like they could have done something else to make it where, I don't know. It was good. It was just kind of, it got humorous. After the like 4th time it gets kidnapped, you just kind of like, damn, Wonder Woman, pay attention. Orion shows up. He's not paying attention either.
That's later. We're not covering that right now.
I do think it's time, a fan favorite segment.
Oh, it's this. Oh, wait, I know how the song. Let's sing the song together out. It goes like this.
Wait. On the count,
All right.
3, 2, 1, and then we'll do it together, and we have to say, same words at the same time. All right?
Yeah, same words at the same time, right?
What does it start with?
3, 2, 1. Does this pass?
Bechtel test.
Bechtel test.
Bechtel test. Test of the Bechtel.
Bechtel test.
Wait, what are
Does
you
this-
saying? I'm singing the real theme song.
Bechtel test.
No, I think.
Bechtel test. That's
Oh,
it.
we're gonna do a
Had he had it.
Would we do a scat man Bechtel?
Bechtel test.
There we go. Bechtel test.
By the way, why is this a segment? Why do we do this every time? We're three white men.
I think we've been over this before. Everybody I think is okay with 3 men talking about mostly male written comics for male audiences and whether they pass the female inclusion test. I think America's okay with that.
Yeah, I think they are.
So I think this is probably the first one we've read that passes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it barely passes because Hermes is always around. Like in every fucking scene, he's in the background sitting there.
It passes, but like,
Agreed.
does it barely pass? I mean, it barely passes, but when does it pass? I know I was reading and I went, it passed. It's passing the Bechdel test, and we all agree on that. That being said, the main protagonist, as Al just mentioned, is Wonder Woman, so it's a woman. So that being said, it's like, is that what it takes to pass the Bechdel test in a comic book specifically?
I guess. Having said
We'll
that,
have to say, let's just see if every male character led book continues to fail, and then the next time we circle back around to like a female-led book, and it passes again, or maybe doesn't. But that'll be an interesting point, I think.
Having said that, though, there are.
Know what it is though? Oh, I remember. It's Zola and Strife, and they're talking about Wonder Woman and how she's like just vibing with the crowd in that club. That's what it is.
Conversation.
But see, if Wonder Woman were Superman or something, this would definitely fail the Bechdel test. But because Wonder Woman's a woman, it passed.
Yeah, because
let's
put it this way: there are plenty of scenes where there's just two women talking to each other. Like for instance, Wonder Woman walking on the bridge with Zola, and their relationship to each other, I guess, passes. But they're discussing a male character, which is her son, in her stomach.
But I think that's
for the most
okay.
part.
I just wanted to make the point that this doesn't quite shatter that test like you think it would.
No, like it should.
There's still, most scenes still have a fucking dude.
All right, this is it. Wonder Woman, Brian Azzarello, you passed, but barely.
So you're not toxic. Cue the Britney Spears. No.
Wouldn't this be the one time we don't play that song?
No, we gotta play.
Yeah, we have to think of something. Maybe we could do like "Baby One More Time" or something like that.
It just sticking with Britney Spears for no reason whatsoever. No, we already just. All right, so Bechdel test passes. Makamori test passes.
So good job, Brian. Good work.
Yeah, good job, Brian Azzarello. Not bad. Also, a really good story aside from the vaguely confusing dialogue at times. Although the things that you do in this run are awesome. So I mean, as a whole, fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Cliff's art aesthetically, I guess, but I do like. Again, I like how he drew the gods and like the iconography and I guess art decisions he made, but
it's his design.
The
work,
art
really,
style itself, I'm not super hot on. Yeah.
I think he sequentially he told a good story, but you're right. It's rather straight lines, like very cookie cuttery, like very simplified cartoonized kind of artwork. But his design choices overall are fantastic. So like it kind of like makes the simplest of panels look amazing because we're looking at a little boy in armor with candles melting on his face.
I think where it threw me off, where it being a little bit cartoony. Overall, I really like it, and again, the character designs are fantastic. But like for instance, the scene we were talking about earlier, when Wonder Woman just explodes that centaur's body. Anytime there's blood, the blood looks really thick and like gooey. And that maybe is a good thing, because if it was more realistic, I suppose this comic would be very, very violent.
Patrick, how often have you seen a centaur explode in terms of realism? What are you looking for?
Maybe they've got thick, viscous blood.
I wanted to see more of the intestines, maybe the liver, the stomach.
Yeah.
Like it was just
bits and pieces, some bone floating by, and that river of blood that was flowing off the bridge. I got you, Patty.
It was literally a river of, so much blood.
Yeah, it was.
So much blood. It was all blood. It was like he was filled with blood, and that was it.
And then they purposely don't show the body, so you're just like, what did she do to that fucking horse? Did she just obliterate it?
Speaking of rivers of blood, this is not really related to this at all, but it's a pretty badass moment in sort of mythology. In the Iliad, when Achilles finally gets over his hissy fit and starts fighting Trojans, he just basically slaughters their whole army up and down this river and kills so many of them that like the blood clogs up the river. And so the river god himself gets pissed off and attacks Achilles, and like Achilles beats him. So he's such a badass that he just kills humans all over, clogs the river with blood, gets the river god mad, and then also just beats the shit out of the river god, and then continues to kill more Trojans.
My main takeaway from the art is I really love Cliff's artwork in general, but I mean, that's no Zeus. You know what I mean?
But it's in Cliff's defense, Joe, this came out before Zack Snyder's Zeus was around.
That's true.
So he didn't, how could Cliff have known? How could he have known that Zack Snyder would find a human being who looked like a
I
perfectly.
don't know. Brian
built
Hitch drew
action
Sam
figure right
Jackson as
now.
Nick Fury before that movie ever existed. there's ways to do it, Al.
I
You
guess
just
that's
gotta you gotta be a futurist. You gotta imagine it.
a follow-up
You gotta will it
question.
into being.
But follow-up question: would it even be possible to draw Snyder Zeus? I mean, how could you
Yeah,
begin to
yes, but
translate that?
only in a panel with other people around, because otherwise you'd have no scale reference. You could certainly draw him, but then when you draw a normal person next to him, like say I drew Snyder Zeus and he was on the page, you'd be like, oh, okay, I guess that's Snyder Zeus. But then when I draw myself next to him, it would just be like a thin line, and then you know, like, oh, there's the scale. I get it.
All right. Well, it's time for another fan favorite segment, which is the let's wrap up and say goodbye.
I'll go first. I loved it, and actually, just thinking about it, and with Alessandro with all those little fun facts, I kind of actually am interested to go back, and they make the Greek pantheon so interesting that I kind of, while I was reading it, I kept googling stuff to be like, wait, who's who? Who's the daughter of who? How are they all related? Like I was getting really intrigued into the politics within the family of these gods. So yeah, it was a great run, great story. I recommend it. Thumbs up.
Yeah, Patrick, if that's what you're looking for, I also recommend to you the book Circe by Madeline Miller, which is a page turner. And it's
We don't read books here, Al. We read comic books.
you need Mother Teresa wouldn't have the patience to carry on a conversation with you, Joe.
What?
I really liked it, as we're all aware at this point. But I mean, obviously, I liked it enough to be like, "I'll read this book." In terms of New 52, it still holds up, being it not, I guess, canon anymore, and they kind of like started over yet again in 5 years. But I thought it brought a lot of interesting new takes and thoughts on Wonder Woman and her cast of characters, so to speak, around her, and made everything kind of interesting and new and fresh again. It was a really fun book. I liked it a lot.
I did enjoy the fact that her entourage was Hermes and Lennox and, these kind of people more tied into the pantheon and not like Donna Troy and Cassie Sandsmark.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. It kind of like took Wonder Woman and just boiled it down to like, what makes this interesting? Also, on Al's note, having the Greek gods is like, their characters are there. Like, you don't have to fucking come up with all of it. It just exists. Like, so smart move bringing them into play constantly. So, because it's just a character you can play with and make changes, and you can just play with it and have fun with it, and in your little sandbox you created. So, like, brilliant, because it made the book better.
Also, I
thumbs up from me.
Yeah,
So
and
that's 2 out of 3.
Well, and 3 out of 3. I mean, I also loved it. If you read this first part, I mean, I would definitely recommend reading the whole run, because like Zeus's firstborn is also just hardcore and is pretty scary and a good bad guy.
Yeah, again, I did get hooked and I read the whole run, and yeah, I highly agree. It was very enjoyable. It gets better and better, actually. I liked it more and more. It dives more and more into more of her siblings, and they all have like really weird powers, and they themselves have very strange character designs, and the way their powers work are very strange, sometimes very gross. Like one of her brothers, his power kind of associates with like bugs and swarms and flies and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd definitely recommend you read the whole run. A quick side note: in general, does DC ever deal with the concept of you have the Greek gods, but like, so you have hell that Hades rules? So does that mean everyone that dies on Earth goes to that version of hell? I've never really understood.
You don't want to open that door, Patrick. you don't want to look in that closet. All right. Well, thanks for listening to the Mobius Couch.
This has been the Mobius Couch. The Mobius Couch. Wait, do we know? Is that the? How's the song go?
Mo 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 mo
Mobius Couch.
mo.
Mobius Couch. Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Scene. Cut.